So, Sandy Nutgens, welcome to the Have Dreams Supporters Club blog, where the purpose is for us to inspire people who have a dream to stick with it and to have fun with it. So, thank you for making time for
You're
us.
very welcome.
So, Sandy, we met 24 years ago, and we did have a dream, both of us, at that time. We'd met us at a seminar. I think we were
Yeah.
full of inspiration and understanding about how to do life a little better. But what always struck me about you is that you seem to be determined to take that inspiration and put it to work in everyday life, really like no one else I've met, to be honest. So now, 24 years later, I've Wikipedia'd you. You're one of the most successful children's television and documentary film music composers in the UK. You've had scores to many BAFTA and Royal Television Society award-winning productions under your belt. Your score for Terry Jones's Barbarians won you an RTS Regional Award for Best Music. And you've even more nominations for the likes of Rain Dance London. My God, today you're Mr. Postman Pat, music-wise.
Yeah.
So I've wanted to interview you because I know that all along this journey, you've made from bass player with a dream to today, you've used daily support, you've had a buddy, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do, you told me the other day when we spoke that you're someone who gets a buzz about just getting to work in the morning. So I thought, it's 8 a.m. now.
Yeah.
I thought I'd ask you to tell me a little bit about that. I mean, what does a day at work look like for you?
I mean, I'm lucky. My studio's in the basement of my house, and so I have a converted studio, and it's got its own separate entrance. So it takes me about I don't know, 4 seconds to walk to work. It's like it's at the back door and down the steps. And I generally get to the studio around 9 a.m. and then I work and normally force myself to stop about 9 p.m. And that's a kind of standard day. I mean, I do long days, and I do get a buzz when I walk in. I turn it all on. I just think, I get to play with guitars and synthesizers and computers all day, and also get to play on TV programs that mean things to people, mean things to young people, or say something about a documentary, or and I mean, kind of, I just think there's it's a great way to earn a living, and doing something that I love, and I'm also fascinated when I get to try something new. I mean, often challenges will come up, and my point of view is always, okay, I always say yes. If something comes in, I always say yes. I may not have any clue how I'm going to do that. However, I'll then go away and find out how to do it. And so that means over the course of, 20 odd years, I've now done everything from, drum and bass to full orchestral scores to brass bands to whatever. And I come from a background where I've had no musical training. So it's, that way of exploration is great. It's really exciting, and I love creating sonic worlds.
In the blog, I make the point that if you're going to be pushing up against a new frontier, if you're reinventing yourself, if you're taking on a new challenge and coming up against your comfort zone, that's when it's a really good idea to get some support. So I'm wondering, did you speak to your buddy
Oh
today?
yes, today, absolutely, yes. We spoke at 7 a.m. And I speak at Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. every day. I've spoken to a buddy for the last 23 years. So and
Who is this man?
well, it's been different people through the years. However, for the last 7 years, it's been a buddy called Anthony. Anthony runs a precast concrete business where he's making beautiful bespoke concrete that looks like stone. It's a very different business to mine, and and he comes from the same place in terms of understanding about support. And so so like, for instance, this morning we talked about mean, because today is a Friday. We talked about it's the end of the week. Have we achieved everything on our task sheet that we said we were going to do? What were the outstanding items? Was it possible to finish those by the end of the day?
I'm interested in the system you use around the task sheet. And are there some agreements connected to that? So that, for example, this has to be done each day, or this has to be done each
Yeah,
week,
the
or
way that our task sheets work is that we have the daily tasks, and I have a daily agreement at the moment for to do a certain amount of mindful movement, mindful exercise. So that's my daily agreement, and I always do have a daily agreement of some sort, which is whether that's a meditation agreement or something like that. Um,
and do you keep that? Do you keep that all the time, or most
Most
days,
days,
or
I'd be lying if I said it was every day. There's
yeah,
some days where
yeah.
what I found is if I don't do that first thing, it's so much easier to forget about it.
Early is good, isn't it? We were talking. A group of us were talking the other day, and um, about how the agreement brings
Mm.
energy, and so to do it early gives you that
Yeah,
energy early
yeah, and
for
it
the rest of
sets
the
me up
day.
for the rest of the day because I've kept my word. And if I haven't kept my word at the beginning of the day, then am I going to be as on purpose through the rest of the day? So
Which brings up a good point, really, which is that I think that in the ordinary world, how, I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but there's a conception that keeping your word, having discipline, just doing it, that's something that people should do anyway. So why on earth, Sandy, do you think that you need to speak to somebody every morning and report in whether
well,
you did or you didn't?
because we're human beings and we're slippery and sneaky, and uh, yeah, and it's just by saying it to someone else and knowing that I will be asked about that the next day does make a difference. Because at that point, when the next day I'm faced with a choice, I either have to be honest or I have to lie. And therefore, none of us, our ego is a really kind of powerful part of our body, really powerful. And our egos hurt when we have to admit, go, "Ooh, I lied," and so so yeah, it's kind of fighting that, and that's what keeps me equally, there's part of me which, if I'm honest, the ego keeps me wanting to keep that agreement, because I don't want to be that kind of person who, is flaky or, doesn't do what they say they're going to do.